Good afternoon. My name is Luis de la Garza. I'm going to be talking about Frank Lambert's article on George Whitefield and peddling in divinity. As we all know, George Whitefield was a very accomplished minister coming from England. He's an Anglican, and eventually, what his movement led, or these revivals, created a great awakening, if you will, which eventually led to the demise of the puritanical system that had been established since the early 1620s, 1630s. What we're going to see here now is this new way of worshiping, if you will. When we first saw the pilgrims come in, we had the civil covenant being established by them, and they themselves were the foremost authority on religion here in the new world in the colonies. Now, with George Whitefield, what he brings to the table is this new way of worshiping. Uh, One thing that we find that is very interesting is the fact that he speaks really highly of a simple or a simplified Christian message, really causing friction within the authoritarian system that the Puritans had established. And the reason being is that his new way of preaching, although it is fire and brimstone and creates this message of going to hell, eternal damnation, if you will, he does provide salvation, and he provides this method or this vehicle towards salvation without really um, having anyone really discuss in which way of, or fashion you should really um, worship, if you will. So what this does is it undermines the authority, the central authority of the puritanical authorities that had been established. Now, Lambert goes a bit further and he talks, about Whitfield's relationship, if you will, with the Great Awakening in a fashion where he's seen merely as a salesman, peddler, if you, as he calls it. Why does he use these terms? Why does he critique Whitfield? Well, we find that within this article, there are various instances where Whitfield, it appears, utilizes publications. He markets himself as this person who's coming to provide a different system, an awakening, which eventually is, of course, dubbed the Great Awakening. But really, what is more very interesting is how well Whitfield understands this concept. Now, Whitfield, like I said, he's very theatrical in the sense that he did like the stage at an early age, but eventually, when he takes up the role of minister, that changes. But however, that fire for stage or theatrics, if you will, did not end there. So that is translated into his sermons, and eventually, people start gathering more and more, of course, through the use of marketing. So one of the chapters that I teach in History 1301 is the means by which revolutionary ideas, that being the Protestant Reformation as well as our own American Revolution, spread through to the inception of the Gutenberg press. And we have Whitfield, being an active participant in that by utilizing these means. The article continues to use more examples of Whitfield really coming to a head in the sense that he's using marketing as a way to actually um, get these crowds. So by the time he goes to a certain particular location, he's already had exposure. The people have been exposed to it. The article also mentions that there had been some works that had um, arrived here in the colonies before Whitfield himself. So what that did was it piqued the curiosity of the colonists. So now we're starting to see someone who's new, someone who's coming from abroad, from Mother England, if you will, and as a result of that, we're going to see you know people wanting to find out what is this person about, and what the end result of the Great Awakenings, we're going to see a new group of Christian or Christian denominations that are going to be known as the new lights or the new sides, as opposed to the previous established church, uh, which were called, or ministers rather, old sides or old lights. So that's going to create an issue for, like I said, the established church, if you will.